in your isolated existence, you need a little bit of contact with lower class so that then you can revitalize, return to upper class. So that's the real story. And I'm not saying the movie is inconsistent. I'm saying that precisely all these levels, one above the other, is how the movie should be read. Of course, now you will say, but the big fascination, of course, is, you know, all the special effects, the ship going slowly down. I know. I'm not saying simply that the ship is, that's not important. I'm just saying that what accounts for the, let's call it naively, emotional, ideological impact of the film is the combination of these two levels. Because we can imagine a film as simply the story of a catastrophe. And there were some earlier versions like this. The most interesting one, I can advise you, look at it, it's not so bad. Do you know that in 43, German under Goebbels, Nazis, made a Titanic, which was very anti-British. You know, the corrupted English captain and so on. It's a pretty good version, like German, you know, of Titanic. Sorry, yes?
Is it true that it was also a book 10 years before it was a movie?
Yeah, I quoted in my first book, yes, in my Sublime Object. Yes, this is very mysterious. Yet exactly the same story. A big transatlantic ship supposed to be unsinkable sinks. The only difference, big one, is that in the book, published 10 years before it happens, it was called Titan. Not Titanic, but Titan. It's one of these mysterious. But that's the mystery of this event. How, although it was a shock, somehow it did fit the imaginary. That's why I think it had some impact. Not only because, you know, true traumas are not simply traumas which happen out of nowhere. They surprise us, but, how should I put it, in our fantasies there was already a place for them. Okay, so this is why, just to go for a minute back to Titanic, this is why I really hate the movie. Because it's the most dangerous, now I speak as a Stalinist, ideologically, because it pretends to be, even ironically, it's referred to as an example of Hollywood Marxism. You know, this ridiculous, patronizing sympathy for lower classes. You know, how it's all rich guys with 1-2 exceptions, like maybe the captain, the engineer. Rich guys are evil then. The more you go low, the more they are kind, authentic community, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to tell you is that beneath this patronizing admiration of the authenticity of lower classes, it's a very reactionary myth. And we should be here very sensitive. Remember, I claim that the standard idealizing of the poor, as you know, they are poor, but they live authentic lives and so on, it's only rich people who think like that. It's the same in architecture. I was at an architectural meeting in Australia where a guy who wanted to be politically, ideologically correct presented on behalf of an architectural group from Australia their project, which was, he showed two pictures, photos as the two poles. On the one hand, a kitschy, golden, how do you call it, tape, water, pipe, or whatever. Tap, yeah, golden, kitschy. And on the other hand, a kind of a pure, innocent water pump, purely functional. And he said, that's to avoid this pure, modest functionality, just to help people, you know, this proverbial manipulation, some tribe in Africa who they don't have drinking water. But what he didn't get is that, and everybody knows this, even I spoke with some publicity people that, how should I put it, today at least, rich people like ascetic modesty, poor people like excessive kitsch. I asked these people, were they ever in a favela? I was once, friends, you know, this is pretty disgusting, but okay, we live in disgusting times. I did it. I visited some favelas as part of this favela tourism in Brazil. And you can see in favelas, it's not this modern. No, they are as kitschy as they can be. It's rich, this is rich people's dream, this pure, modest functionality and so on and so on. I mean, when poor people perceive each other, they don't perceive themselves as, you know, this kind of poor but authentic life. No, they perceive themselves as evil. We try to exploit each other as much as possible, and so on and so on. So, okay, but let me go on. So, that's what I hate about Titanic. But what I wanted to say, nonetheless, to go back to the main line, what we should bear in mind is how, again, it's not a simple inconsistency and weakness, these multiple levels at which we can read the story. This is what accounts for the strength of the story. So again, let's imagine Titanic only at the spectacular level, big ship sinking and so on. Frankly, it would have been boring. Okay, you would have interesting special effects, but nothing, that surplus enjoyment, that surplus cost of desire to sustain your desire, it wouldn't have worked. The interesting thing is that the opposite story would also have been pretty boring. Imagine no catastrophe. Just the story of the destiny of a couple of people on a rich transatlantic voyage, it would also have been boring. I think that it's precisely the combination of these two levels. And this is, again, I claim how Hollywood works. Let me give you a couple of other improvisations here, which I already used in some of my old texts. For example, did you see, I quite like them, they can be disgusting. I will mention to you two big catastrophe films. One with Liv Tyler, Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, I think, how do you pronounce it in English? Yeah. Did you notice how, although it's officially the story about the big asteroid hitting the Earth, it has an incestuous background. This human interest story is Bruce Willis' father who doesn't want his daughter to go. So at this more elementary libidinal level, you can read the catastrophe as father's wrath, incestuous fury, no, that guy will not screw my daughter, and so on, as the material, because this is why the moment the father sacrifices, the moment the father accepts the amorous liaison of his daughter, he succeeds, the asteroid explodes, and so on and so on. You can really read it as a simple Oedipal incestuous story where, again, the father's fury, the asteroid just materializes the father's incestuous fury. The opposite case, did you see the movie, it's called Deep Impact? It's again incest, it's again about asteroids hitting the Earth, but the story is there, how is the girl called who played Tia Leoni? The same incestuous story. She's furious at her father, who at the beginning of the film drops her mother and marries a young girl like her. It's simply incestuous fury. If he drops my mom, why didn't he pick up me? And you can really read the whole story as just acting out of her incestuous fury, which is why this is the only way to account for the culmination of the film. You remember when the asteroid is approaching Earth, she joins her father alone on a beach. The big wave is approaching. She embraces him, says, "Oh, daddy, oh, dad," and bump there. It's as happy an ending as you can get. In one of my books, I even made a comparison between these. You remember the famous Love on the Beach with Waves from, this was the big revolution, early 50s, From Here to Eternity, where Deborah Kerr and Burt Lancaster, there you have an ordinary extramarital affair, so you have just small waves. Here you have a more serious incestuous affair, so the wave is a little bit bigger. So you see my point. That's what accounts for the reverberation, libidinal, of the movie. The combination of these two levels, catastrophe and so on and so on. Now we can go even further here, and to give you another example that I quite like, although it's a shitty movie. Did you see Michael Aptet's from 2001 Enigma, the one about that the Bletchley Park group of crypto analysts,